So we are still doing our share thing here, but we should also remember, in case I forget, I reached the end of the series without giving you a way to limit somebody uploading more than their quota here. So just keep that in mind. Alright, so here if I right click on this item, I get this. Now the thing here is I can type any item, any text, and have it save. But this is not good. We should only allow valid email addresses. So what we can do is use regular expression to help us match this. So you have to test a few email addresses to make sure that you are not limiting. This is why you're not limiting certain people, because let's say for example you put a regular expression which somehow does not allow special characters in your email address, and then somebody enters an email address with special characters, then they will be stopped from doing that. So you must test a few email addresses. So we imagine this is the email here coming in, which it is actually. So if it's empty, we say please type an email address first, but we should also try to use a regular expression to match the email. So we can say if email.match, like that. Now if it does not match, okay, if we do not, like that, if not email.match, and then you say please type a valid email address. We don't need the first here. Okay, so we focus on it again and return. So this is fine. Let me do this here. Now we need a good pattern here to make. So a good way to do that is you can use, there's a website called regex101.com which you can use to test your regular expressions. Now in this case, luckily for us, Sublime Text does use regular expressions. So all we have to do is create a new file, and let's type some text here, and some text with numbers, and some numbers only, and then we write the word email there, and then let's just put email at email, or email xyz at gmail.com, or something at something.com, or dot something, like that. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here is put all kinds of email addresses or email address types that I want to evaluate. Then I can put a regular expression down here in the search. So just press Ctrl F down here and make sure this dot star on the bottom left is active, which says regular expression, or you press Alt R to switch it on and off. Alright, so once you do that, it means we can use a regex to search this document. So let's give it a try. So first of all, we want to search for letters A to Z. We can use capital A to capital Z as well, and then we close that and then put a plus, like so. Now this is A to small letter Z, like that, and then capital A to capital Z. There we go. So it has selected, as you can see, this, that, and that, everything except numbers. But this is not what we want. We want to include numbers as well, because some certain email addresses have numbers as well. So we're going to put 0 to 9 as well. The thing we can't have is a space in the email address, so we shouldn't put a space there. But some email addresses have other characters like dash, dot, and so on. So let's see how we can fix that. Now, a real email address will have an @ symbol just after the first set of letters. So let's put that @ symbol like so. Okay, great. So now after that @ symbol, we put back the same thing here, and then let's put a dot. Now a dot has a special meaning in regular expressions. It means any character. So let's put a slash before it to make sure that it's treated like a normal character. So like that. And if you're not sure if @ means something special, you can also escape it by putting a slash like that. And then here usually it's .com like this, but certain places, certain email addresses have different. Some are .space, .shop, and so on. So in this case, we just paste the same content again like so. Okay, so only these two have been selected as valid email addresses, which is correct because even this is not a valid email address. It lacks the dot something at the end. So now let's try another address. Say my email _256 @gmail.com. That one. And also, as you can see, it does a partial matching here, which we don't want. So in order to avoid that, we put a caret right at the beginning here to say start from the beginning, and then at the end here we put a $ up to the end. It should match the whole thing. So then this is disqualified. And then let me duplicate that. Let me try another version with a dash instead, like my email with that. And then I don't know if this is a valid email where you say my email .234 @gmail.com. I don't know, maybe there are emails like this, I have no idea, but you may want to include those as well. Now this is just a preliminary check to see if the email is valid. We're going to check also on the PHP side. So here, don't go too crazy about it. We're going to check again in the PHP side because there's a PHP function that comes with PHP where engineers or programmers better than I made better regular expressions to do the checks for us. This is just to make sure that the user at least gets most of them correct, and then we still check on the PHP side just to make sure. And also because on the JavaScript side, somebody can easily edit the code and send you wrong information. So you should always double check on the PHP side as well that you're getting the correct information. In short, just never trust user supplied data. Just assume it's malicious all the time. That way you can protect yourself. So here I want us to put an underscore. So I'm going to put a /_ so it's treated like a regular string, or I put the dash instead of the underscore. So let me do again dash like so, and then the full stop as well, just so we can include that. So I'm going to grab this. I don't think this is appropriate here, but maybe, except for the dot. I think the dot would mean something else there. So maybe a dash would work there and an underscore. I'm not sure. I don't know about the end here. Because there are email addresses that are like my email @gmail.co.uk, something like this. So we do have such email addresses as well. So let's see if I add that extra there. Does it work? It seems to work as well if I do that. Okay, so at least it gives us a rough idea of the kind of email addresses we can accept. So let me grab all of this. Looks very like gibberish, but it's a valid string that you can use to check for stuff. So here, let me do this actually. Let me create, let's say let reg is equal to new reg xp, like that. Wait a minute. Where do I put the regular expression again? Okay, so I can just put it like this. I even forgot how to do this, you know. I usually use regular expressions in PHP. So I'll put this slash at the beginning here and another slash at the end there. I think that's how you make the regular expression. Not sure anymore. So anyway, any matter here, anywho, here at the end I want to use the global thing. So I'm just going to say G like that to put the global. That way I think it can go to the next line. I'm not really sure how this works in JavaScript, but I think there's a G there. You can also put an I there to make sure that it's case insensitive if that's what you want. You don't want it to be case sensitive. You can do that, but I think we've covered that because we have capital letters and small letters, so it doesn't matter. So here I'm going to say dot match reg there. Let's put our regular expression, and then if it doesn't match, then we get this stuff here. So let's check it out if it can work. So right click, let's go share. Please type a valid email address. Well, why is it asking me immediately? This is not good at all. So what's going on really? How does it go to the ad? Please type a valid email address. What is going on here? Huh. Alrighty then. You see, the reason it's saying that is because we are adding to the list, so it rejected that item we had wanted to add from the list because it's not really a valid email address, right? Okay, so I guess that makes sense. That makes sense now. All right, meanwhile, let me get my database online here while we do this. So if I try to share, there was an email address there it's trying to add on the display. That's why it's showing this. But this won't be a problem once we start doing our thing, because no invalid email address will be allowed. So please type a valid email address. Okay, so email at email. Even this is invalid. Let's try .com and let's see. And that is accepted. Okay, so it works like a charm, which is great. Now if I save this, then it will this time it won't show me that error when I try to share, because there's only one valid email address there. Okay, so let's try another one like john@gmail.co.uk. Let's try that, and it's acceptable. So let's save that, and that is great. So I'm in here as Mary, as Ethan here, but let me give Mary also some access. So I'm going to say mary@email.com because I know that's the other user here, and let me save. Okay, good. At least we have that now. Now let's get the same regex here. Oh no, actually we don't need this regex anymore. Let me just close this file over here. Let's go to where we are sharing the file, and let's see the issue with email addresses here. That's emails right there. So whenever we are saving the email updates, so there's an email over here, right? So this email must be valid. If it's not valid, we continue and just ignore it. So what I'm going to do is, we won't even bother to check. What we're going to do is, let's say if. So there's this thing called filter var here, this function. which you can use to test things. So the variable we want to filter is email, and the mode we're filtering is filter validate email, like that. So what I want to do is, this is a loop, so if it doesn't match up, let's just continue and ignore it. So I'll put a not here, exclamation point, to make sure that we are checking if it does not match up to an actual valid email address, then we continue. So just in case somebody bypassed this check here, then we can still block them on the other side. So let me show you how that works. So if I close this, so that way this doesn't affect us, whether we have a wrong email address or not should not matter. So here what I'm going to do is go back to share, and I want to just type some numbers and add them. So I have added them here quite alright because I've bypassed the JS version. Now if I save, it goes to the PHP side, so let's see if it will stay. So if I save like that and come back and try to share, you see that it's not there anymore because it was rejected. So that's just a second layer of security there. Let me save that just in case. So when creating security, you start with the PHP side, create all the security features. Just imagine the information you get from the HTML side is all garbage, and then try to sort it out and see what happens. You have to intentionally try to break your system just to see its weaknesses and then fix them. And then that's when you can add safety features in the front here, because then the front ones can be bypassed, but you know that even if these are bypassed, the PHP side will prevail. Okay, so at this point we have a few email addresses that this user can use to share. So as you can see, if you go to the PHP side here, there's a way to grab these emails, right? So where is this emails, blah blah blah, great. Okay, now what about when we are getting files? Actually, that's the part, get files here. So when we are getting files, we do get the email address, the email addresses associated with, we call it the shared data. So this is the part here, human readable emails. This is the part I'm looking for. So I'm going to grab this, get shared to data, and I want to look for, what section do I want to look for? I want to look for preview file. That way we can limit some stuff. Yeah, so preview file, let's go there, and there it is. So preview file is here, and yes. So at this point I'm looking at this part here, shared to specific users. So we just want to confirm if the current user is part of those people. So this is line 252. I just want to see how I get the current user's information, because frankly I have forgotten. Okay, it's right here there. That's how you get the user's information. Okay, cool. Let me go back down to 252, and I'm gonna paste the data that I want here. Okay. Now here what I'm doing is selecting all from shared to where file ID. Now we need to know this current file, what the ID is, and we can do that by just looking at the, oh okay, it's a single file, right? So let's see here. We are grabbing the file and putting it in here, which is info row. We also have just row there, which contains the same data. So let's use that one. It's looking like it's easier to use. So row ID. Okay, so that makes sense. And disabled is equal to 0. Okay, great, great. So at this point, it's going to grab every email from there. So we don't have to add those emails to this. Let's see, if empty, blah, 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 emails, JSON. Okay, we don't need to do this part here because we want the emails as a loop. So now what I want to do is this. If email, so let's do this and say if, now the thing is we need a way to, okay, let's do this. Let's say if emails turned out to be something, that's good. If it didn't, now this gets a bit tricky. So if it didn't here, we have to only sorry, only allow the owner. So at this point we can't dismiss the file because just in case, it means no email addresses were provided as to be shared to those people. So if that list is empty, then only the owner of the file has access, right? So here, if emails is a thing, I want us to loop through the emails and find out if the current user, so let's go find out something about the current user. So first of all, we need to know if we're actually logged in, right? So I'm gonna copy that. Actually, let me just go ahead and try to grab this right here. This thing right here. So I'm gonna do this. Copy. So let's go back to our 250s. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is, let me grab the email address or just the ID, the user ID, and I'm just gonna say ID there. Now, for some reason it doesn't exist. Let's put a 0. It's possible it won't exist all the time because a user that's not logged in can try to preview a file. So then we get to a 0 in that case. So here we should only allow, let's say if, so let's put an if statement here. If a user ID is not equal, so if that is not equal to, oh wait a minute, yeah, if that's not equal to the row, because each row in there has a user ID, then no access here. Now the reason we are comparing this user ID is because in the My Drive table where we grab this file that we are previewing right now, there's a user ID column that tells us which user uploaded this file, right? So we're just checking to see if the user that uploaded the file, okay, wait, let me see here. Okay, so I'm correct. If the user that uploaded the file is the same user that's logged in right now. If they are not, then we remove all the data. We hide it, right? Great. If not, we just ignore that and let it slide. So the same thing here we're trying to do. Now here, remember that this emails is an array of arrays. So it's an array that contains rows of data from the database. So which means within emails 0 like this, there's an actual array inside there which has columns because it's a row of data from the database. So one of the columns I want from this emails thing is, the column is email, right? I think that's what it is, because, oh no, we don't get an email. Do we? Okay, what I'm gonna do is duplicate this and get email as well from there. So the user's email, we'll put it at 0 if it doesn't exist either. So what I want is to grab all the emails from here. So this is the shared to, has got an email column actually. So that's the email column I'm trying to get from here to get all the list of emails. So I'm just gonna call this one let's call it email list is equal to, there's a function called array column. So array column just gets like one column and converts that into an array. So the input is the array of arrays, and then the column you want to get from there you put there, like email. So this is going to give me a nice array that contains data from only one column of the result set. Okay, so email list. And then once I have that list of emails, then I can use the inArray function like so to check if my email address is in there. So the needle is the email address we are looking for. So in this case, I'm looking for the email address of this currently logged in user. So that one is put inside email. So we can call it my email just to avoid confusion with these words here. So I can call it my email like that. Okay, then put my email here. And then the haystack is where we are searching. So in this case, it's in the email list like so. So we have to put this inside an if statement, of course, so that we can do something with it afterwards. So say if in array, then we should allow the user, but if not in array, so we'll put an exclamation point to make sure we negate that. So if not in array, meaning you don't have access. So in this case, we remove the data like so. So we empty this row and say not successful. All right, so I think this should do it. So we can only tell if we give it a few tests to see what each user can get. Now in this case, I want to have a few, like for example, this one I know I have shared with Mary, which is the other user on this platform. But I want to do, this one is not shared, right? But I want to share it. I want to put it on share to specific people, but I don't want to put specific people here. Just leave it empty and see if it will still share in that situation. So let me go to the preview of this and also the preview of that one. That way we can just refresh when we need to. So as you can see here now, I have no access on both fronts either way. Okay, now the reason I don't have access to my own files is because my email address, even though I'm the owner, is not in this list, right? My email address, which is this one, is not in that list. So what we need to do is put provision for that as well. So I'm going to copy that email address. Actually, we can just use this right here. So copy. Here we're going to say let's put the first if statement here. Even before we do this, we don't even need to do all of this if we own the file. So I'm just going to put this if statement here and say if user ID is not equal to this. So let me duplicate that and put an opening there. So what I'm trying to do here is we only perform this check if we don't own the file. So this is the if statement to show if you own the file, just like we did here. So if I don't own the file, that's the only time I should perform these email checks here. So let's go back here and refresh. This time I will see my own file, which is great. This one I will see as well, which is nice. Okay, so that's great. Now what I want to do is log in as Mary, because I know Mary has access to this file, but not this one. So let's see what happens if I do that. So I'm going to log out. Let's log in as Mary. Password. Logged in. So on this one, if I refresh, I should have access to this, but it seems I do not. Okay, so let's see why that is.